Today, I want to talk about what is no contact, because I think there's a lot of misunderstandings about what it actually is and how to implement it, and also why it often fails, because I think these are the two key questions I get again and again and again. So let's address those today. So number one, what is actual no contact? Often we have this idea that it's just blocking our ex, narcissist, borderline, histrionic, or social psychopath, blocking their number so they can't call us. Again, a lot of people say they can't do this because they may have children. So I want to address that too, because you can. You do not need to have direct contact with someone, even if you have children with them. You can have a third party that can be a lawyer. It can be a mediator if that's too expensive and you don't want to do that day to day. You can also get a friend or family member to basically be the communication link between that. I've done that for a friend of mine with a narcissistic mother, where I would look at the letters and other things she would send. I would read it. I would delete all the things that were just abuse and nonsense and manipulation, and the things that he needed to know I would condense into small, simple, factual things that he could then make a decision on, where he didn't get all the gaslighting manipulation with it, and then I would reply. So that's another option you can do if you have kids. But again, to come back to what is no contact. No contact is getting rid of, like I said, of course it's a basis of blocking them so they can't call you, text you, whatever it is, any kind of communication. But it's also, which is really important, blocking of course on social media, but also don't follow them on social media. Don't check up on them. Don't ask people that you might know in common, what they're doing, what they're up to, etc. Because every time you do, you reignite the trauma and the wound, and you start the healing all over again. And to actually heal, you need a complete separation from the drug, which essentially is what this person is. We often think it's love, but it's actually an addiction, a chemical drug addiction that we've got to this person. And you need to separate yourself from that drug for at least 90 days, before the impacts start wearing off and the cravings stop. And yet, as we know with any kind of addiction, in the future, if you're suddenly exposed to it and have a weak moment, you can fall in. So yeah, block them everywhere. Don't follow them anywhere. Delete all photos. Even going back on your phone, looking at all photos is not keeping no contact, because again, it reminds you of that wound again and reignite the same pain. So that's why I wanted to just expand on the idea of what no contact actually is, because I think it's often misunderstood and people keep going around in the same painful loop, not understanding and saying, oh, but I'm doing no contact. You're not. If you're checking all photos, if you're checking social media, if you're following up what they're doing, you're not no contact. No contact is not just not speaking to them, it's having nothing to do with them and the memory of this person, okay? So why does no contact often fail? And we just need to come back and look at, as I talked about, the drug addiction, because the reason that it fails is because we're addicted and we often don't treat it as addiction. And then we blame ourselves and start saying, oh, I'm weak. And actually this self-blame and self-shaming makes it even harder for you to not go back and be in contact. So it's really important that you start out by being gentle with yourself. When you fall back in, maybe unblock, contact them, do some of this, be kind and remind yourself it's an addiction, I'm doing the best I can, and I'm having a general need for human connection, which is why you're reaching out, and you have that desire to go back to that love bombing idolization stage, which of course will never happen because they can't have those nurturing, stable, safe relationships. But of course you have that craving, and it's a natural, beautiful human need. So be kind to yourself. You're in pain and it's natural to want to reach out. You're also addicted, and a lot of people don't understand what that means in a relationship breakup, where you might have been discarded or suddenly had to leave them because of abuse. And therefore, set up a structure that supports you going through addiction. And one of the most important things that people don't do is to have a dedicated support person. So one of the things I've done and I do with my clients is find one person they trust. It could be a therapist. While I think therapy is great and coaching, then that shouldn't be your main support person, because the support person needs to be somebody you can call almost 24/7. Whenever you're feeling low, you have that craving, you want to unblock or look at old pictures or get in touch with your ex because you just want to understand the why, which, by the way, they will never give you the answers to the why. Those cannot be found with somebody with a cluster B personality disorder ever. So that will be fine through your own studies, your own learning. You'll start to understand the why, and at some point you won't need the whys anymore when you're back to feeling safe and balanced. So find a person, preferably a friend or family member, that is quite available, and agree to this, of course, get consent from them for a period of time, that you can call them up whenever you feel really low and want to reach out to your ex. This is what we do with alcoholism or with drug addiction. When people are in that craving where they struggle, they call somebody up who can talk them down and do what we call co-regulation, calm you down, give you that sense of connection. Because really the reason you're reaching out, as I said, is because you're addicted and you're craving connection. You're craving oxytocin, you're craving dopamine. And again, I talk more in other videos about how to create these, but in a healthy way, so you can replace what was lost and taken away when the narcissist devalued you. So that's enough for today. Follow this channel, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Go to the website, get the free webinar, the free guide, and all that stuff. And of course, if you want to do the online course or work with me, you can find that too on my website. So look forward to speaking to you next week. Take care.